What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about the 5 strategies that all good poker players use. If you see anyone at your poker table doing any of these 5 things, it's likely they're one of the best players. All right, let's jump into it. Counting down from 5 to 1. Here we go. Number 5 is hand reading. Now, this is a skill that all professional poker players have learned to master. And by the way, I'm going to give you step-by-step example hands for every single strategy on this list. So let's jump into an example right away. You have 2 red aces. Pocket ace is the best hand ever created, and you get raised on a river of 3 of spades, 6 of diamonds, 7 of hearts, 8 of clubs, and 10 of spades. So guys, hand reading is all about player types and understanding what their ranges are in various situations. So I'm just going to talk about tight players in this example because this is the most common player type that you will encounter today if you play small and mid-stakes games, which is what 95% of people play, versus a tight player in this hand, assuming there was a raise pre-flop, a bet on the flop, maybe there's a check on the turn, but in one of these medium-sized pots like this on the river here, if you make a decent bet here in any tight regular, somebody who's watching videos like this, who's trying to win, who's studying and so on, if they raise you on this river, guys, let me tell you from my 10 plus years experience as a pro, this is nearly always a set. And a set, by the way, means 3 of a kind, and specifically on this board, that's going to be pocket 3s, pocket 6s, pocket 7s, pocket 8s, or pocket 10s. This is the way that tight players often play these hands, and on the flip side, a lot of beginners get this wrong, this is not going to be pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket queens, or pocket jacks, because tight players don't play these hands this way. With pocket aces and pocket kings, they would have re-raised this pre-flop, and we probably would have gotten it all in before the flop. With pocket queens or pocket jacks, they often would have raised earlier in the hand to protect their hands. And then the only other hands that make sense here are a handful of suited connectors and straight hands, like a hand like 5-4, for example. But once again, guys, tight player. Tight players don't play this hand very often. So putting all the pieces together, guys, this is how you hand read in poker. This hand, when they raise you on the river here, a tight, passive player, like you're going to see so often these players in today's games, this is going to be a set the vast majority of the time, and therefore all good poker players know to lay their pocket aces down here. All right, guys, let's move on to strategy number 4 that all good poker players are using these days, and this is going to be a little bit of an advanced one, and that is floating aggressive poker players. So no doubt you've played against a lot of aggressive players in today's games, loose and aggressive in particular, as the player type is going to be in this example, and these players are very difficult to play against. This is one of the top questions that I get asked from my students in particular. So the biggest thing you need to know, guys, is don't let these players run you over. This is the style that I play myself, and I know that I get a lot of people to fold hands when they really should be calling me down more. Let me give you an example right now. You have ace king offsuit, ace of hearts, and king of spades, and on a turn of 10 of hearts, 8 of spades, 8 of clubs, and 7 of diamonds, one of these loose and aggressive players bets into you again. Guys, you need to be making the call in this situation most of the time versus this specific player type. And remember, everything in poker, guys, revolves around the player type, and you're going to see that in all of the examples today. So the reason why we want to be calling on this board versus this player type is because this player has too many bluffs in their range. Again, guys, it's a loose player. They play lots of hands pre-flop. This is not the tight player like we talked about before. It's a loose player who plays lots of hands, and they like to bluff a lot, hence the aggressive part. So this player's got a ton of bluffs in their hand. If they've got any 9, for example, they're going to be betting again here. They're going to be betting all of their baby pocket pairs, like their pocket 3s, pocket 4s, for example, and they're also going to be barreling with all sorts of Broadway hands like a queen jack, a king jack, and so on. The other thing we need to realize is that we have the nut no pair in this situation, and what I mean by that is if they have a hand like queen jack, we win because we have the best hand possible that has no pair currently. Guys, always remember in poker that we're playing the best 5-card poker hand, and that leads me into my final thing. A lot of people fail to count the counterfeit outs here, and by the way, out in poker is just a card that can come later on and on the river in this situation that could make us the best hand if we currently do not have the best hand. So, for example, if this player has a hand like pocket 3s or pocket 4s, as we said, a loose and aggressive is going to bet a lot of these again. On the turn here, a lot of people forget that if it comes with another 10 or another 7, for example, on the river, we are going to counterfeit those hands because our ace will play. Remember, guys, best 5-card hand in poker, so this gives us even more outs. So guys, again, putting all the pieces together, you need to be making the call on this board texture versus this specific player type. All right, guys, let's move on to strategy number 3 that all good poker players use, and this one's going to be away from the poker tables, and this is studying their game. Guys, you will never see a good poker player thinking that they know it all. I have seen so many players like this come and go over the years in my 10 plus years as a professional. Players that get an ego in this game wind up in what I call poker's graveyard because they don't keep up, the game changes on them, and they fall behind and they wonder why they start losing. In fact, that's exactly what recreational players and fish do, is they think they know everything. Good poker players, on the other hand, are constantly studying their hands in a HUD software program, for example. If you play online poker, they're reading high-level poker books, they're enrolled in training courses, they are hiring coaches, and so on and so forth. There are more tools than ever today to quickly improve your poker game. I will include everything that I recommend in the description below this video, but bottom line, guys, do not get an ego in this game. Do not think that you have somehow climbed to the top of the mountain of knowledge in poker and you know it all, because the game is always changing, and if you do not keep up with the game of poker and evolve with it, you will absolutely get left behind. Let's move on to strategy number 2 that all good poker players use, and that is value betting top pair. Guys, good poker players will always get full value with their top pair. Let me give you another example. Once again, you've got Queen Jack offsuit, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds, and on the river, the board reads a 10 of Hearts, Queen of Spades, 4 of Clubs, 7 of Diamonds, and 9 of Hearts. So guys, what should you do in a spot like this? You should be betting around 50% of the pot if they check to you. A lot of people will get scared in a situation like this. They will talk themselves into thinking that their opponent must have 2 pair, must have a straight, must have a set, must have hit something on that river. Guys, you always need to remember that we're playing against ranges in poker. We're not playing against a specific hand. That's the stuff of Hollywood movies. We always want to be thinking about the entire spectrum of hands that they can have in a situation like this, and there are many hands here, guys, that will happily call a 50% of the pot bet. So, you know, for example, the pot's $50, you bet $25. Let me give you just a couple examples. A hand like Ace 10, a hand like King 10, Jack 10, a hand like Jack 9 had an open-ended straight draw on the flop, hit a pair on the river. Pocket jacks will absolutely call. Guys, I could go on and on. There are so many hands here that we are ahead of, and you are simply losing money. You're simply shooting yourself in the foot if you do not get the bet in here on the river. And as I always mention, guys, pot sizes on the river in Texas Hold'em are on average, of course, the highest because it's the last street in the game. So if you miss even a handful of small bets like this routinely in your games, this often can be the difference between the biggest winners in the game and everybody else who's, you know, around break even. And people wonder why they don't get the results that they want in this game. Guys, it's the little things like this. It's not missing bets like this for 5 big blinds. These add up in a big way over the long run. Don't allow them to get a cheap showdown here when it's likely they have one of these hands that would pay off a smaller bet size. All right, guys, so my final strategy that all good poker players use, and this is again more of a mental game type thing, and that is quitting early on what I call hell days. Guys, as a 10+ year professional, I can tell you that I have routinely, well, wanted to quit the game entirely. That's a topic for another video, but I have routinely had many days, which I refer to as hell days, where you literally cannot win a pot to save your life. You are losing every single poker hand. They hit the flush on you every single time on the river. Every time you got pocket kings, they've got pocket aces. I could go on and on. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Guys, the biggest mistake that a lot of beginners and amateurs make on days like this is trying to be Captain Comeback. They will sit in there for hours steaming, getting frustrated, and more importantly, playing poorly in a vain effort to try to get back their losses, whereas good poker players, professional poker players, they understand that the game of poker is all long run. Your results on any individual day in this game literally do not matter, guys, and therefore sitting in there for hours and hours when you're often playing very poorly is in no way going to be of benefit to you over the long run in this game. So what I actually learned how to do is just quit early on days like this. Number one, your chances of making a comeback on these days are very slim. You're in a poor emotional state as well. So again, you're playing poorly and not even giving yourself a chance to win at the most optimal level because you're not playing at the top of your skill level. So what I choose to do on days like this instead instead is I just quit early and I review my hands. Remember, we already discussed that before, of using your time away from the poker tables to study your game, improve your game. So I will use a program like Poker Tracker. Again, I'll link up everything that I suggest in the description below, and I will review the hands from that session. I will ask myself, did I play this hand bad, or am I just getting unlucky? And through that review, I often am able to find my weaknesses, I'm able to find my leaks and improve on that, and come back the next day with a clear head, emotionally stable. I haven't thrown away all of that money that so many other poker players will do, sitting in there steaming for hours and hours, trying to win it all back. And guys, this is literally the difference between the biggest winners in the game and, again, everybody else. Guys, if you want to get world-class results in this game, you need to realize when it's not your day at the poker tables, you don't need to win them all, guys, and the poker games run around the clock. You can just come back tomorrow. You're not missing out on anything. Guys, bottom line, don't sit in there steaming, getting frustrated, playing on tilt. When you're playing at your absolute worst, it's time to quit for the day. Save yourself some money. You've put too much effort into this game to throw it all away, guys. Just learn to quit early. All right, guys, like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And if you want to know my entire strategy to smash the small and mid-stakes games, including what hands to play with charts and diagrams, when to bet, raise, shove, fold, and everything, all that good stuff, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. That'll be the top link in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I will catch you next time.